Sustaining you on that angle is our ability to, beyond words, to prove that the model is structurally viable and sound for financing the gap that we identify.
Yes. So when you look at this structure, for example, we are just trying to show sort of a practical way. When we mention, blended finance, a lot of the time, those who recommend it do not really spend time analyzing why it's able to work. So as I mentioned earlier, there's someone with money, but who's afraid of the risk. There's someone who doesn't have too much money, but is not necessarily motivated by the profits or the commercial incentive. So they are willing to bring their small money forward. So blended finance literally blends these two funding sources together. So for this one, we have people who are providing capital, and this capital can come from multiple sources. You can have donors, you can have senior lenders who are usually the private guys, those who are usually risk averse, and then you can have those who are providing guarantees, which can be the government. So, in terms of the African context, this is the role that governments can play. They may not necessarily have to have so much money, but they can use guarantees, to sort of de-risk the whole investment. But how does that work? So, practically, you have something which you can call a capital stack, which is essentially where is the money that we are going to use come from. So in this structure, if you look at the numbers well, you have junior debt, which is 20% of it. Junior debt, essentially, like the way the name suggests, is junior. It means that if we are sharing something, you are going to be considered last. You are going to get yours at the last bit, so because you are a junior. Then there's a senior debt, which talks about those who are prioritized. So if we have to pay out anything, we are going to prioritize those who are the seniors, and that's 60%. And then we look at the equity, which is 20%. So this can also come from the government, or it can come from the company which is trying to put the projects together. If you put these together, you have 100%, right? Now, if you look at the junior debt, the 20%, that is essentially 1/5, if you get what I mean. So it means that 20%, okay, the 1/5 is the one that is attracting the senior debt of 60%, and it's also what is attracting the equity of the 20%. So you don't need to have all the 100. If you can find a small bit, you can use that to attract those other people, because now the risk profile has reduced a bit. So in this example, let's say we've collected the money and then we create a special purpose vehicle. I'm calling it EAK because, Eco Africa, Habamuno, and Corey. So we create this special purpose vehicle to now do the project, right? So the vehicle is ready. And then we now send the money to the next one, worship, to the next. Yes. So now we've collected the money and we are now actually using it to do the project, whether it's a 20 megawatt solar project or it's a renewable energy project somewhere. We now give the money to the company that's doing the project. They build it, they are operating and maintaining it. Then when they generate it, they sell the power to whoever wants to buy it, whether they are selling to the general public or to some companies, some SMEs, some rural people, whatever it is. They've sold it to the off-takers, right? So now they are going to generate money from what they've sold. When they generate that money, all that money goes into a box or it goes into another layer. So if you could go to the next step. Yes. All that goes into another box, right? So inside that box, we take out the operating and maintenance expenses. We take out money that we are using to pay the senior, because you remember I said the senior comes first. That is the only reason why they were attracted to come, because you told them
Good evening and good
you
night.
make sure you pay them first. So that is why the seniors will be paid. then everybody is paid in that order. We put some in a reserve just in case the cash flow reduces, we can use it to supplement. Then you sort out the junior debt, and then now you finally deal with the patient equity, which was provided by the sponsors or the government or whoever wanted to de-risk the project. So that money now flows back to the people who invested in the first place. So by building a model like this, it is not always like this. Sometimes it's less complicated because you don't need the SPV. Sometimes some of the players are removed because not everybody needs to be there all the time. But this is sort of an example. So now the money goes back and everybody is happy. In case all the money doesn't go back because maybe people are not paying electricity, there's illegal connections and whatever, the guarantor you have there, provides some risk mitigation because they would have said, if this project is not profitable, I guarantee you I'm still going to pay you the senior lenders, right? So that's also an added layer of the risking. And then they can also provide liquidity support in case the cash flow doesn't really work. So this is an example of a blended finance structure which you can use for an energy project. You use a little bit of the junior debt or concessional money to leverage 60 to 80% of private capital. The project is done, the cash flow comes, and you use that to finance everything. So the government can still do projects without having to spend so much, and it provides a viable option.